Hello everyone. In this video we are going to talk about structures, which is a common type of data in almost all programming languages, and it's very good if you want to put heterogeneous data under the same umbrella. Like for example, when you do data entry, right? You do data entry for people, you have different types of data to store for them. You have their age, their names, that could be basically strings. You have, their names and address, that could be strings, and then their names, which could be a double, and then their zip code, which could be an integer, and so on and so forth, right? So if you want to put them all under the same name and then access them using what we call this dot operator, then the best way to do it is a structure. So when we define a structure, first we have to declare it before we enter the main function. So we start with the keyword struct, we give it a name, and then inside the braces we define what we call these fields of the structure, okay? So define the fields of the structure, or the structure here. I don't need to write it, you know it's about the structures. So here I have three fields: name, zip code, and age, and you declare, of course, the type of variables for them. And the good thing is, when you say this class data is a structure and you declare a data like my data to be a structure of type class data, you can have it to be a vector. So it does not need to store only these three pieces of info for one person. It can store it for as many people as you want. So in this case, I want to store the info for 3 people. So my data includes 3 people. As you can see, the first name, I put my name, my zip code, and my age. And then I just made up 2 other people with their names, zip codes, and ages, okay? I'm not even sure if this zip code is a real zip code or not. So here, you see all of the first 3 info belongs to index 0 or person 1. All the next 3 pieces of info belong to index 1 or person 2, and then person 3, right? So you see this structure, my data, which is of type class data, and it's a structure. It can have as many people as I want. And then I can now access any person's information and show it. Let's say I want to see what is the name and the age of the third person. So say go to my data number 2, which is person number 3, show his name, and then say is, and then go to his age, dot age, and then say years old. So it should say George is 71.5 years old if I run this piece of code, and you see it does, right? So I can access the information for any person using the dot operator. Somebody might say, what about you determine the average age of this group? Here you need to access the age info of all people, add them together, and divide by the number. So here I go ahead and create a variable sum and then an average. I start the sum at 0, and then for I from 0 to less than 3, which is 2, I go ahead and access my data ii.age. So I access the age of each one of the people, add it to the sum, and finally I divide the sum by 3 to get what? To get the average, and then I say the average age of the people in this group is equal to that average. And you see here, if I do it, it is showing me 57.3, which is the average of that 38, the 62, and the 71 here. So you see it is working just fine. The other question you might ask is, how do I get this number 3 without me just hard coding it and typing it, right? So if I get a structure in some code from a user, how do I know how many people are, or how many data, how many members are in that structure array, right? So here I typed it 3 because I knew it, but if I didn't, is there any way that I can find it? And the answer is yes. Here we can add the size of, we can use the command size of, and the size of will give me what? Will give me the size in bytes for the whole my data, and then I can look at the size for my data 0, which is just one of the members, and then by dividing those two, I should be able to get the number of people. Let's take a look here. So here you see the total byte for the whole my data is 144, and for person 1 is 48, and you know 48 times 3 is what? 144. So if I say go ahead and show me this one, right, that should be what? That should be 3. And you see it is, right? So this 3, I can say this is my n, the number of people, and so I can go ahead and assign it to a variable. Int n equals this, and now here I can only go from that to n. Okay, so I don't need to necessarily just see, basically type it in. I can get the size, I can get the number of people in that structure. So hopefully this video was useful to you, and I could show you how to get what? How to get some data stored in a structure, how to access it, and how to use it. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.